Welcome to Countercultured. My name is Justin, and in this video, I'm ranking every Tremonti opening track from worst to best. So without further ado, let's kick things off with number 5. Taking the bottom spot on today's list is My Last Mistake from Tremonti's third record, Dust. And before I go any further, let's make sure we're all clear on what I mean when I say this is Mark's worst album opener. There is not a single song in his entire discography that I don't enjoy. But since I'm human, I prefer some songs more than others, just like you. So in the context of this video, My Last Mistake is at the bottom of the list, but obviously I still think it's a good song overall. With that said, why does Tremonti's third album opener bring up the caboose of today's song ranking train? Well, as we'll see with later songs on this list, I value an opener's ability to set up its respective album as much as its capability for standing on its own. While I do consider this song to be a solid standalone track, it just does not adequately prepare me for the journey ahead. It doesn't feel like an introduction to the record, but rather an intermediate track meant to enhance the story and add context. Though Dust doesn't exactly have much of a story aside from the general theme of destruction and hurt. Personally, I think Catching Fire would have made a stronger opening track, especially with how the opening eases into that main riff. Plus, I just love the dive bomb effect on the guitar after that first verse and the breakdown during the bridge and outro. I think this song would have been a much stronger thematic introduction to the record than Last Mistake, and likely would have ranked higher on my list as a result. But instead, we've got a decent standalone thrash song that leaves me wanting in terms of its ability to lay the groundwork for the rest of its album. For those reasons, My Last Mistake takes the bottom of this list. Up next, we're moving in reverse chronological order to Tremonti's sophomore album opener, Radical Change from Cauterize. Honestly, it shouldn't come as that much of a surprise to see this track right next to My Last Mistake, considering they were recorded during the same sessions, and they're from my two least favorite Tremonti albums. Again, I say least favorite, but I ranked every Tremonti album as a 9.3 out of 10 or higher when I ranked the entire Alter Bridge universe. So just remember the context that we're working with here. One reason that Radical Change takes the fourth spot is the abrupt nature of the song's start. Just like its successive album title track, Radical Change starts like a bullet fired from the barrel of a gun, just instantly thrown into one of the most aggressive songs on the entire record. There's absolutely no room to breathe or even think when it begins. You just have to hold on for dear life. And I think that initial jolt really distracts from the quality of the riff. Perhaps if the song had a few seconds of buildup, it wouldn't be as jarring. Now let's talk about what this song does well, because honestly, I can't nitpick much else before I'm just grasping at straws. Mark, Eric, and Wolfie are all good, but Garrett Whitlock is an absolute star on this track. If we're strictly talking drums, this song is probably one of my favorite Garrett parts with Tremonti. His double bass work is incredible, and even when he's hammering hard on the cymbals and toms, he manages to keep his parts grooving. The bridge in particular is fantastic, and it blends both of these ideas so well. Specifically, Garrett's use of dynamics is really what makes his drumming groovy. Even though he's playing at full volume for most of the track, he accents and softens certain notes to give his fills and double bass lines shape and variety, and man does it make a world of difference. Garrett's technical abilities combined with tasteful dynamics are what make him one of my favorite drummers, and I would love to have him on the channel someday to geek out over drums. But for now, let's move on to number 3. Up next is the OG Tremonti album opener, the one that started it all, Leave It Alone from the impeccable 2012 album All I Was. Of all the opening tracks we've discussed this far, this is the first song in which I have no criticisms or nitpicks. Simply put, I love this track, which should come as no surprise considering I gave All I Was the only perfect score in my ranking of the ABU. Garrett's use of double kick to emphasize certain downbeats is once again fantastic, and I love how Mark uses pinch harmonics and bends in the main riff to create this squealing effect. I know it doesn't sound very appealing based on that description, but I think you know what I mean. Another reason why I love this song so much is the guitar solo. It's like the quintessential example of building from the ground up and developing ideas through this ever-growing arc. And man, when Mark hits that final run and the chorus comes back in, it is so cathartic and powerful. It's the same reason why I love the solos from Show Me a Leader and Fable of the Silent Sun so much. They all take you on this grand journey and lead to this massive apex that just rips through your very core. It is so awesome. So all I have to say about this song is positive, but I can hear you asking, then why is it third? At this point, it's purely preference. The two remaining title tracks are utterly amazing, and while I don't think Leave It Alone is a lesser song than either of them, I cannot deny that these two tracks are on another level when it comes to introducing their albums. That may sound contradictory, but hopefully it'll make sense in a moment. But before I elaborate, let me tell you a story about something that happened at Alter Bridge's Minnesota show on their latest tour. I was in the third row, pretty close to center stage, and it was a packed house. The crowd was roaring and the speakers were booming. And I happened to overhear that the guy standing next to me had to leave during AB's set because his ears and head hurt from the volume. Now look, as fans, our hearing is kind of at the mercy of the sound engineer, and unfortunately, they're not going to turn down the volume anytime soon. But if you want to get some control back and protect your ears so you don't miss out on the show like the guy who was next to me, then check out the sponsor of today's video, Vibes. Vibes earplugs offer high fidelity noise protection specifically designed for musicians and concertgoers, so you can wear them at your favorite band's show and your ears will be protected with no one the wiser. What's great about Vibes is that they filter sound waves rather than block them, reducing the volume of loud music to prevent hearing damage while still allowing you to hear all of the details in the music. Plus, they're customizable, comfortable, and discreet, so no one will even know that you're wearing them. Vibes are already the cheapest premium earplug on the market, but if you use my coupon code CC15OFF, you can get 15% off when you order from discovervibes.com. By the way, any purchases made with that code give me a little kickback as well. So if you want to support this channel and protect your ears from loud music while still enjoying the show, check out the link in the description and use my code for a discount. Many thanks to Vibes for sponsoring this video, and now on to number 2. Coming in at second is Tremonti's newest addition to the catalog, A World Away from Marching in Time. So a brief story regarding this song when it came out. I'd been following the single releases pretty closely, and when the title track for Marching in Time dropped, I just could not stop listening to it. So then when A World Away comes out, I rushed to the computer to listen to it as soon as possible. I queued up the song on YouTube and settled in for another thrill ride with Mark at the helm. However, when the track started, I was confused because it didn't sound like that pristine Tremonti I've come to love. The mix was messy and sludgy, and it was nearly impossible to tell what any of the parts were actually doing. I was so disappointed with the quality of the recording, and ultimately I was concerned that it could be an issue with many other songs on the record. Little did I know, Tremonti did something different for this single release than from the previous two. Instead of a regular music video, A World Away was released with a live music video, like the live music videos from All I Was. Only I didn't realize this was actually a live recording, so I just assumed that that was how the song was mixed. Imagine my face when I finally heard that actual recording and I was just overcome with relief. Anyways, now fast forward to the end of last year, and A World Away was my most played song on Spotify for 2022, and it is not surprising in the slightest. This is one of my favorite tracks for so many reasons, many of which I've already discussed on this channel, so I'll just say this. The opening series of riffs are incredible at establishing the overall tone for the record, while the bright, upbeat chorus hints that it's not just gonna be dark and depressing for 12 songs straight. Hope and dismay are seamlessly blended into this track, and his bridge lyric, "Whenever we break free, whatever comes will be all right," it still gives me chills every time I hear it. This song is just incredible, and definitely one of Tremonti's best. But there is still one more song that embodies the concept of opening an album better than any other, and that song is Bringer of War. For a long time, Bringer of War from Tremonti's prolific concept album, A Dying Machine, has been one of my all-time favorite songs. In my video about the 6 essential Tremonti songs that every new fan needs to hear, this track was my 4th pick since it's a phenomenal demonstration of Mark's desire to experiment with both thematic and musical ideas. That opening snare march accompanied by strange chromatic chords draws you in, immediately letting you know that both this song and its respective album are going to be full of surprises. Then that main riff comes in and it is just manic, filled with polyrhythms and hints of the Locrian mode. There's this constant urgency just coursing through the veins of this track. It never lets up, even when the chorus expands to broad, powerful halftime chords and drums. The energy of this song is frantic and infectious, and I get so hyped every time I listen to it. Hell, I'm getting hyped even just talking about it. More importantly though, it makes me want to keep listening to the album in order every time I hear it, even when I'm listening to a variety of bands all at once. It hooks me right from the get-go, And I've usually listened to about half of A Dying Machine as a result before I've even realized it. But that's only part of what makes Bringer of War Tremonti's best album opener. A Dying Machine is a concept album with a pretty distinct story and several unique characters. Therefore, its first song must also serve as a foundation and inciting incident for the story, in addition to laying musical, lyrical, and thematic foundations for the songs to come. That is an incredibly difficult task to execute well, and Bringer of War absolutely knocks it out of the park. Though we don't actually hear his name in the track, we're introduced to a key player in the story and shown that things are gonna be messy, as this unnamed figure is bringing war and destruction to someone's doorstep. I think of it like the opening credits of Avengers Infinity War. Rather than a low-stakes chase or fight scene with various quips and jokes intermixed, we get something dark and ominous, signaling that war is on the horizon and things are about to get bad. Or maybe good. So whether you agree or disagree with my list, let me know down in the comments. If you want more comparisons like the one I just made between movies and music, check out this video with 5 Alter Bridge and Tremonti songs that double as Hollywood soundtracks. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.